Hello dear listener, it is time for the VR Shiz show once again. No problems this time around. Well, except for me clicking the buttons on my jacket here and there, but that is minor. So don't listen for it even though it has now been pointed out. Enjoy the nearly flawless show.
Alright, it is once again that wonderful time of year where we release a new episode. It in fact happens quite often this time of year.
Yes, we're going to try to stick to a consistent schedule. Hopefully,
things happen.
Yeah.
We're just not like those insane people where we record in bulk. We just meet up once a week just to record.
That is true. I actually recommended that one time, and maybe for like the Christmas time we could do maybe like a 2-session one in one go, but
I'll make it a Christmas special, just that we split into 2 parts.
That works.
You have to wait to see what happens in the second episode.
Yeah, that works. I think that would be better.
Alright, well, anyway, it is time, as always, for everybody's favorite section of the show that always starts it off.
Shouldn't we introduce the show first? Because I don't think we did that.
Look, people should know at this point what this show is. If this is your first episode, go listen to a different one, and then come back.
Preferably like the last 3, because I think those are our clearest ones, right?
I mean, there's no real standard of quality with this program. I'd call it a lack of standard of quality, in fact.
Just like all of my content, yeah.
Yeah. There is no baseline. We don't know where it is. We can't find it.
Okay.
Anyway, but yeah, this is a VR Shiz show. It's time for media consumed.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you know what you want to talk about for this, or
Yeah, actually I do. So obviously I told you on the way over here that I do want to review anime for my personal YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
And so Quiz and I finished Demon Slayer. Absolutely incredible. But I've already talked about Demon Slayer. I'm not going to talk about it again because I will continue to go on for a while.
Not here, at least.
Not here, no.
You're going to keep talking about it.
Yes, that's going to be the first one we review, but we're actually starting on the next one we're going to review, called Gabriel Dropout. Now, it's a comedy. It's about an angel named Gabriel.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's everybody's favorite angel.
Yes, she graduated at the top of her class.
Gabriel is not a woman's name.
I know. Neither are the other 3 main characters, but they're women's.
All right.
So, yeah, Gabriel is like the top angel. She's, super wonderful, super wholesome, and she's helping everybody out. She comes to Earth. She's supposed to, like, make everyone's lives better. You know, she gets a stipe from heaven and all this stuff. And then she discovers video games.
As you do.
And I think we all know what happens when you get addicted to video games. To a certain degree, you become a degenerate.
No, productivity soars.
Yes,
Vince.
Of course.
We're both stellar examples of that.
Yes, clearly. Actually, yeah. So yeah, she becomes a hardcore degenerate. She's not the same like wholesome angel that she was at the intro. Uh-huh. She's like this lazy, mean angel who just sits around in her room all day and plays MMOs.
Yeah,
that's all.
Yeah,
and her friends are like, "Bruh, we gotta go to school because we gotta pretend we're humans, but you still gotta do your work." So the show is like one of those. It's actually really funny. Okay. The humor in it is surprisingly good. Okay. I'm sure you know Japan's like censor laws and everything.
I am aware.
There's one particular joke that I did not remember in the first episode when I had watched it initially, because I'd watched one episode, but I was kind of not there yet with the anime. And then I watched it again with Brian, and obviously if something is inappropriate body part wise, Japan tends to censor it. like the male one.
Yes.
They tend to blur it. Probably the best joke so far, out of I think the 4 episodes we've watched so far, and I laughed for like a good 5 or 6 minutes, is they're cleaning her room, and a giant cockroach comes out, but the entire thing is blurred. And we're just looking at it. I'm like, wait. And Brian's like, wait, it's a cockroach. And I was like, oh, okay. I laughed for like a good 5 minutes just because it's running across and you just see the blurry pixels of the giant cockroach. And it's really clever like that. There's one where she's getting dressed. She takes off her clothes in front of one of the other main characters. It's like, what are you doing? You know, it's like, well, we're girls, right? It's like, no, but you're naked. And then like it like shows her and she's like completely covered by light. She's like, no, the light keeps this show family friendly. Like they break the fourth wall in it, which is pretty hilarious. I didn't think that was an actual thing from the show because I've seen that meme 100 times from for that scene, and it turns out it's literally just that.
Nice.
But the humor is very good. The girl characters, I think that's all there is. The main characters, they're a lot of fun. Gabriel's a piece of garbage, but she's still lovable. Satania is supposed to be like the archdemon from hell who's supposed to rule over hell, but she's a total idiot and she gets bullied all the time.
Nice.
Vignette is a demon, but she's like the complete opposite of a demon, where she's like really helpful to everyone and really sweet. And then Raphael is a manipulative piece of trash.
And a Ninja Turtle.
Yes, also a ninja. She is a Ninja Turtle. She has the biggest breast in the show, and the reason I know that is because she will not stop talking about it and lording it over the other girls.
Stupid.
So, you know, girls do be petty, though, even if they're angelic and demonic beings.
That's fair.
Like, can I say that?
Huh?
Like, can I say that? We don't
have women that listen to this show.
I know of one. Chalky, if you're listening to this, I apologize for that.
You're forbidden from listening. No women. They aren't real.
Girls aren't... Yeah, it's true. There's only one gender, and it's gamer.
It's nerf or nothing.
Nerf. Gosh. Okay. They're going to nerf Greninja again. But,
that was just the most off-site... All right.
Okay, go ahead, because it's a fun show. It's really funny. If you do like slice of life anime or just comedic stuff, I'd recommend it to anyone listening. Find it on Crunchyroll. Does not have dub, but honestly, the show is incredible without it. So.
Fair enough. So I thought about it, and I've like done nothing but play Red Dead 2, or technically Red Dead Online, and watch videos about all of the new computer parts that are coming out, or that have come out at this point. But yeah, Red Dead Online is a wonderful piece of garbage that I love.
A wonderful piece of garbage. I love the honesty.
Because it's not just garbage like GTA Online is. Because that has random people just showing up in jets and hacking and all of that. Not to say that there isn't hacking in Red Dead Online, but it is far, far less. And that's nice.
Okay.
And when it happens, you can easily just switch to another server because load times aren't fast, but compared to GTA 5, they are lightning speed.
So even now, GTA 5 loading speeds are like incredibly slow?
Yeah, because it's... So Rockstar decided to have the most garbage server infrastructure ever, which is to say they don't have servers.
Okay.
They use peer-to-peer, which is everybody just connects to everybody rather than connecting to a server. And it's the most garbage thing for any of the game modes because everybody's constantly rubber banding or what have you 8 times out of 10, especially if it's not a race and you're actually trying to like kill other players or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, you're just flying all over the screen. Everyone else is too, and it's nonsense. Which is why I mostly just do the online roles and some races.
Okay.
But yeah, I have almost 300 hours in it. So I'd say that I enjoyed a little bit.
Yeah, that's fair. You were able to tolerate the garbage to play and enjoy the game.
Yes.
I can respect
because,
that.
Again, just visuals are wonderful, and I have a PC that can run them.
Yes, you do.
Which is not to say that most people can, because Red Dead is insane to run. Like, I remember when it first came out, and I cranked up max settings, and I wasn't getting good frame rates, and I'm like, wow, this is not okay. I have the best. Why is this happening? And then I found out, oh, Rockstar designed this game for the future, to be able to run nice. Not for me.
Don't worry, the game will get good eventually. This is how we do it.
Yeah.
It's
but,
fantastic.
yeah, I've been doing a lot of Red Dead Online, just going around doing quests, all that nonsense. And it's fun, busy work, I would say.
Okay.
It is my mobile game, like my gacha game, except I don't have to put money into it.
And you don't have to go anywhere.
Yes. Even better.
Yes.
But yeah, that, and then again, I've been watching so many videos on the new computer parts, because they're so good, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm amazed at what AMD is doing, because they basically just said, hey, Intel, you know how you're the only competitor and you have gaming and that's the only thing your processors can do? Not anymore, psych! Guess what? You don't have anything anymore. So, AMD's killing it. I wish I bought AMD stock, is all I have to say. Because I would have made at least a few dollars.
Yes.
But I didn't, so I didn't make money at all.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, that's media consumed for the time being. I don't know, maybe I'll actually do more next week. We'll see.
Yeah, I plan on doing more this week, so.
Yeah. It's how it be, man. It's how it be. But moving on to the topic at hand, you suggested some good old games discussion, and not GOG, the distributor. By the way, have you're new to PC gaming, but have you heard of GOG? Good old games?
I don't think so.
So basically, they just sell games that are DRM free, and they have this thing called GOG Galaxy, which I would highly recommend, because it literally just compiles all of your games from whatever launcher, if it's Epic or Steam or whatever, and it just puts them all into one thing that you click on.
Okay.
And it's far more convenient. Even like unsupported launchers, there's people who do fan code that you can easily access. Like, it has a built-in thing to search for fans.
Okay.
So it has like the Rockstar game launcher, because I was a fool and bought Red Dead Online in the Rockstar game launcher because they gave you a bunch of bonuses. Don't use the Rockstar game launcher. It is absolute garbage. I'm literally going to buy Red Dead a second time on Steam because of how garbage the Rockstar launcher is. It is hot trash. But yeah, it is GOG Galaxy. It's fantastic, and it supports so many nice things. Would recommend, in fact.
Okay, I'll have to take a look at that.
But yeah, back to the good old games discussion of disappointing games. So I guess it wouldn't be good old games, it'd be bad old games.
Yes.
And bad new games. And just bad games in general.
Yes, I have a lot to say about this, but we're going to keep it short, because I feel like we could do like four of these.
I mean, because of the broad topic that is disappointment in video games, I'd have to admit that, we both watch Internet Historian.
Yes.
And the hour-long video he made on No Man's Sky and the 30-minute video he made on Fallout 76.
Yes.
So, we're not going to do that. We're going to actually restrain ourselves. Maybe. But did you have one in mind?
Let's avoid talking about, obviously, the big heavy hitters like Fallout 76. I think I've already expressed my disappointment at that. Paying for a $60 game.
If I had known you back then, I would have yelled at you, don't do this.
Yes. I was blinded.
I already heckle you for not being financially responsible.
Yes, but at least the other things that I buy can get some sort of financial return later if I sell them. Unfortunately, with that game...
They just released it for free, practically.
Not for me. So I can't. We're not talking about that one because that's too easy. That's like shooting fish in a barrel. Let's talk about games that maybe we were hyped for, or maybe we saw the hype for and we were ready for them. We got to play it, even if it's a snippet, and we're just like, wow, that sucked.
I will say that hasn't really happened to me a whole lot, because I very rarely will buy a game new unless it's something that I am very aware of and very trusting of the developer.
Okay. That's
or
fair.
The publisher, rather, because I will sometimes buy, like, Devolver Digital, the indie publisher, their stuff. Sometimes I'll buy it day of. Like, I think I did that with Fall Guys. But for the most part, like, I tend to wait on buying most games unless it's something multiplayer or something that I'm very aware of and trust the developer. Even if it's something that I'm excited for, I tend to wait to buy it when it goes on sale. And even with this slightly more frugal practice of buying games, I still have a stupid amount of garbage in my Steam library of just games I still need to play. Like, I have 20 minutes in Darkest Dungeon, and I know it's a game I'd like, because it's a roguelite.
Yep.
It has a fantastic narrator. It's got good, interesting gameplay, and I'd love it. But I just, 30 minutes, and I'm like, alright, I'll come back to that. Same thing with, like, Fallout New Vegas. I have that just sitting in my library at, like, an hour.
I think I've already played 17 hours. Which still isn't nearly enough for me. I haven't touched my computer since we started moving. I just started recently editing again, so I just... Trust me. But, okay, so if it hasn't happened to you...
There is one primary example.
Okay.
And it was a turning point for me with this developer. And this is...
I feel like we've talked about this.
Oh, yes. It is, in fact, Game Freak.
Yeah, okay.
For me, I have played Pokemon since I was a wee lad. I have been playing and played every game since Ruby and Sapphire up until this release. And it was the nail in the coffin for me as to not doing anything else with Game Freak.
Okay.
Because the transition to the 3DS I was skeptical of. Then X and Y came out, and I played it, and I'm like, wow, this is really good. Then they announced the remakes for Ruby Sapphire, which I'm like, whoa, that's my jam, because that's what I started on. And boy, I am going to fall victim to the nostalgia bait, you betcha. And I played that, and it was alright. It was pretty interesting how they did changes, things like that.
Yeah.
And then Sun and Moon happened. And I was like, man, some of that looks really interesting. A lot of the Pokemon designs, a lot of it, I'm like, alright, it's pretty interesting. And then I played it. And it was the single most disappointing experience I had ever had with Pokemon. Like, I was one of the people who bandwagoned on hating Black and White when it came out, and I still played both of those games and enjoyed them at the end of it.
Yeah.
But I, was part of that bandwagon in whatever grade I was in. I think it was middle school, early high school or whatever, with Black and White too.
Yeah.
But even then, I enjoyed those games, and I can walk away saying, yes, I enjoyed those. Sun and Moon, I walked away from with like, man, Game Freak really has gotten lazy. I understand why people have started to complain about stagnation in Pokemon, and every piece of garbage that they've done to this franchise, because Sun and Moon was the most hand-holdy piece of trash. And to top it all off, I didn't have a new 3DS, which meant I got to wait a lot in that game.
Oh, yeah.
Because after every single battle, there was a solid 2 or 3 seconds of black, and then it will let you back into the world.
Yeah, that's right.
If you had a new 3DS, it wasn't as bad.
Yeah.
But if you were like me and didn't fork over cash to pop a Nintendo, you got to wait in that game. And so I grew very weary of that game. I beat it, and I'm like, all right, I'm not going to transfer all of my Pokemon from Ruby and Sapphire to this version, though.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to keep them in the Ruby Sapphire remake. It's going to stay in Omega Ruby, and they will never touch this cursed land. Like, there were a lot of changes they made that were good, you know, getting rid of HMs, things like that, but it was to the point of being so hand-holdy that I was like, this is lame.
Mm-hmm.
And getting rid of gyms and how they changed that, I was like, this is lame. And basically throwing Mega Evolution out the door,
Yeah.
this is lame. It was just the most thoroughly disappointing release. And after that, I'm like, no. Then Ultra Sun and Moon came out, and I'm like, I'm definitely not buying that day one. Saw the reviews, and it's like, it's literally not even like an Emerald version of them. It was the most bare minimum anything to the game.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, all right. Then I saw, ooh, they're making a Switch.
Yep.
First real deal main series game on Switch. And then the Dexit happened.
Yes.
I'm like, all right, cool guys, you almost had me. I'm out. Your Pokemon designs in this latest gen, don't care about them. You've shown me how lazy you are, and you still haven't remedied this. Your game that you took away development on Pokemon for, Little Town Hero, turned out to be hot garbage. Game Freak, you're dead to me. And that's the story of why you should never support Game Freak ever again. I'm staring at you with great intent because I know what you've done.
And if they make a Diamond and Pearl remake, you best believe I'm
It is
doing
not
it
going
again.
to be good.
It's not, but it's also the first game that I played with all of my cousins. And we're going to do it again.
Just play Diamond and Pearl again.
I can't.
Yes, you can.
It's funny because
I will lend you my copy of Diamond.
Oh, no, I have Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum.
Okay. Play it on the DS, Vince.
No, I'm not going to. Anyways.
No, don't give Game Freak more money.
So it's funny because I'm on the complete opposite spectrum for that. I love Sun and Moon. Now, I do agree with you. It is... the intro is super long. The hand-holding in that game is... It's easier than X and Y. 100% easier than...
And X and Y had a lot of hand-holding.
Yes. I will acknowledge that. I think the overall story was my favorite. If you did any of the side stuff, which I did a lot of the side stuff, there was a lot of mature content for that kind of stuff, which they've done in the other games before, but it was a lot darker.
But as we've established, I could not give a rat's behind for story.
Yeah, no, that's why. For me, I'm very much a story guy, so to do all of that, Lily is probably my favorite Pokemon character of all time, including in the anime. So I enjoyed it. I didn't like Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. They rewrote a lot of things, including the characters, including Lily. It was just... I like the new Pokemon that they added in there, but at the same time, I'm just like... I liked the deck scanning. I thought that was a cool thing. But overall, probably my favorite series in the game. My favorite game in the entire series. I think Black and White probably come right after that. Because most of my favorite Pokemon come from those two generations, which is weird for me to think about because I pretty much held Hoenn to like God tier standard forever, and I shunned Black and White. I avoided playing them until like 3 years ago, and then I played them and I'm like, why did I do this?
Really?
Yeah, I kid you not. I got a copy of Black. I played it the first time and I hated it. I don't know why. Just hated it. Then I was like, I'll try it one more time. I did it a second time, and then I fell in love with the game. I don't know what happened. I can.
You realize that Driftveil got them beats.
Well, I think overall, that's the one thing that I can give to whoever composes music for Game Freak. I'm not gonna say Game Freak.
Ichinos.
Thank you. The man
as well as Junichi Masuda.
Doesn't. That's a conversation for another time. I'll hold on for.
He also develops the games. Yes.
Yes. The fact that their music for every single one of their games is fantastic. Mm-hmm. Each one of them has their own feel to whatever region they're supposed to represent. Mm-hmm. I think that's incredible. I will agree with you on that, though. They are definitely getting there. Did I pay the money for Sword Shield? Buy both of them. And also get one of the expansions? I did.
You enable Game Freak. This is like you seeing a man snorting crack off the sidewalk and just tossing him a nickel and saying, yes, keep buying that crack.
If I give him another line and he ODs, he's never doing it again. That's going to be used out of context.
You're talking
later.
to a man who's built up infinite tolerance. Game Freak can never get high on their own supply.
Yeah. Rule number 5, never get high off your own supply. I love that song, even though I've never been near crack. But for my disappointing game, that wasn't to defend it. That was just to give my thing on it. I do acknowledge it does have a lot of flaws.
Yeah.
Like, a lot. I just enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
But, disappointing game. I'm going to talk about 2 because I've already talked about both of these series before when we talked about video games.
Mm-hmm.
But I have mentioned this. The death knell for what is essentially the third game in every series, practically. They're usually not good.
Yeah. That's why Valve doesn't make them.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. They don't know how to count the 3, but at least they don't make trash games. The 2 specifically are... What's it called? Army of 2, The 40th Day, and then Dead Space 3.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, managed to get my hands on Dead Space series, played both of the games again, first 2, and I was like, man, these are just as nerve-inducing and psychologically fun as I remember them. They're stressful, but it feels good when you manage to get out of a scrap.
Mm-hmm.
It feels good to fight and be on your toes. And then the third game happened, and I had a lot of hope when it initially came out when I was younger. They promised co-op. I was super excited for that because I had just gotten one of my best friends, his name's Robert, into the series. And we were both like, bro, you have a PlayStation 3. I have a PlayStation 3. We both have internet. Guess what we're going to do? And then we played the game. So I don't know what happened, but I think EA had already bought them by that time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Which, unfortunately, makes a lot of sense with that third game. Someone told them that, you know what, Dead Space is better if it's action. Let's just do that. And you know what? You know all that cool, like, gun modding stuff that you can do in the other games, and you have to select what guns you want to use? What if we just threw all of that away and your one gun became all the guns? Which sounds cool on paper, but it was cool to do management in those games because it really felt like a survival horror. Mm-hmm. You're just an engineer. You know, in this third game, there's an engineer and a straight up soldier, and they just Kane and Lynched it. If you don't know what Kane and Lynch is, nobody does. Because I played the first one with my dad. It was okay. That was it. It's okay. Mm-hmm. They do something in that game that Dead Space 3 looked at and was like, you know what? Our game isn't mediocre enough. Why don't we steal an idea from an even more mediocre game than us? So the soldier guy has visions. Mm-hmm. Because Isaac gets over his visions in the second game because of a very pivotal moment that happens where you're basically have you seen the eye needle scene in that game? Where a giant needle is going towards your eye and you have to try to get it in there while the pupil is moving. And if you miss it,
I have not.
Okay, cool. I'm not going to make you watch it because it was one of the worst things I've ever had to play. Because I'm your friend, Richard, and I respect you. So I'm not going to make you watch that. But
how kind.
It was really awful. Like, my eye hurts thinking about it. So his visions get lost. Like, he no longer has hallucinations or anything because they basically ripped all of the images of the marker out of his mind with that tool. The new gentleman who gets introduced, he's just exposed to the marker, which starts to mess with his mind. So he sees hallucinations everywhere. No, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
He can't tell what's real and what's not real.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Isaac is clean. He can. But game mechanics don't make that effective. Because it's like, if you have an active mic and you're talking to the other guy, hey, there's nothing in front of you. Or, hey, if you know the way the game goes, you don't really have to deal with that kind of stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They attempted it in Kane and Lynch. Really awkwardly done in that one, and it was really awkwardly done in this one. I thought Tal Volantis was a cool setting. You know, it was like Ice Planet, and it expanded the universe where you realize that the necromorphs are actually a much larger threat than you first think, and they're already like a super large threat. They're like the Flood, except instead of just snapping your neck
Mm-hmm.
and changing your biology, they rip your body from the inside out and reform it and shape it.
Nice.
So they're very similar, but it's just one of those things where it's like, why do you play this game initially? That's cool. What if we threw all of the things that you loved about this game and made it action?
Yeah, that's what EA does.
Yes, it does. And I was sad. I really wanted to enjoy the game.
I am going to be honest. I'm really surprised that Respawn is still making fine games.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they haven't been demolished by EA. Good luck with who was it that made Anthem? BioWare?
Yeah.
Good luck, BioWare. I would give you a year at most.
Oh, you didn't know? They pretty much destroyed one of their greatest properties. There we go. Instead of talking about the 40th day, I can talk about that one.
Mass Effect?
Andromeda.
Oh, I loved the reviews. As someone who couldn't care less about that franchise, it was hilarious to see how bad that was.
I got into it because of the second one. I think most people did.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. I've enjoyed Miranda.
Uh-huh.
People who play that... Bro, they purposely did the angles in that one the way that they did. They confirmed that they did it that way. And I was just like, you know what? I can respect it. Anyways, I played the third one, and it was fine. I thought it was a pretty serviceable end. It wasn't anything incredible. I think the second one's still the strongest in the series.
I think that's what everyone kind of says.
I feel like that's most trilogies, though, for games. Like, for me, Dead Space 2, that game, Uncharted 2, well, until that became a quadrilogy. But still, third one, second one, that was the second one, that are my favorites in the series. And then I played Andromeda, because I was like, cool, what if we get more of what we wanted? And BioWare looked at Andromeda and was like, okay, but what if you weren't Commander Shepard, but instead you were a colonist going to other places? What if you were a rider? That is your last name in this game.
Mm-hmm.
You're a rider. You're not this super crazy soldier with skills. You are literally just a colonist. And lo and behold, you come up against another really big threat. And lo and behold, you beat the threat, just like you did in the Mass Effect series in the beginning, except all of the characters are weaker.
Mm-hmm.
The graphics were awful.
Oh, they were so funny.
I really tried to like Cora, because I like girls with that kind of haircut, and I liked her voice. But it felt like I was falling in love with a Minecraft character.
Don't say that, Vince. The
You
memes
can't-
I've seen, that's a dangerous road.
No, it wasn't acceptance, it was sadness.
Mm.
Because she could have... Eventually, they got it around, I guess. And then not only that, you find out that they weren't even going to do, like, any DLC. It's just like, cool. You like missions that you know you're not going to play with your friends because this is primarily an RPG and it's about the story instead of all of the other shooty, actiony stuff?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Guess what? We're only doing missions in space. And you paid, like, $70 for, like, a a deluxe edition, and none of it contributes to the story. It's great.
Yeah.
They weren't gonna give it any support whatsoever, anyways, and then they just kind of looked at it and been like, "All right, cool, do something." They basically took another game and was like, "Hey, we need to make more money off this other property that we have that's really hype, but we don't want to actually build the game. We just kind of want to make money, so let's do this." It's like the Child's Play remake, except the Child's Play remake I actually enjoyed because it was fun. I was bored playing this game, and I beat the game hoping that I would enjoy it. And I can think of maybe 2 times where I was like, yeah, that was nice.
Vince, you gotta wait for reviews, man. This is your problem. You buy games to play them to find out they're bad.
Yeah.
I let the angry mob decide that for me.
I'm still gonna buy Deathloop.
Well, yeah, but that's Bethesda.
Yeah. But that one looks fun. That one does look fun.
Yeah.
But
also, let this be a warning for anyone who's expecting BioWare's new Dragon Age game to be anything other than bad.
Their last one wasn't awful. It was fun.
Yeah, but that was a little while ago, Vince.
Yeah, new BioWare is kind of scary.
I mean, did you see Anthem?
No.
Because no one did.
Wait, is that multiplayer game?
Yeah, the multiplayer Destiny.
That's not even a bit. I literally forgot that was a thing that existed.
Oh yeah, that was the big thing that was gonna save BioWare in probably EA's eyes, and then it came out. Yeah,
that's depressing.
Yeah, so goodbye BioWare. Like I said, I give you another year.
Good BioWare.
You may.
Sorry.
We're going to end the show right there. That's it. Good BioWare.